Imagine being born a slave. No freedom, no rights, no control over your own life. Your future decided by someone else. Now imagine that same person rising up, leading an army, defeating the greatest empires on earth, and changing the course of history forever. This is the unbelievable story of Toussaint Louverture, a man born into slavery who became one of the most powerful revolutionary leaders the world has ever seen. A man who challenged the mighty empire of France, inspired the only successful slave revolution in history, and whose courage ignited the flames of the Haitian Revolution. But his story is not just about war. It's about freedom, sacrifice, and the unstoppable power of hope. In the year 1743, on the Caribbean island of Saint-Domingue, a child named Toussaint was born into slavery. At the time, Saint-Domingue was the richest colony in the world. Its sugar and coffee plantations generated enormous profits for France. But that wealth came at a terrible price. Nearly 500,000 enslaved Africans were forced to work under brutal conditions. Punishments were cruel, life expectancy was short, and freedom seemed impossible. But Toussaint was different. Unlike most enslaved people, he was allowed to learn to read and write. He studied medicine, religion, and even military strategy. No one knew it yet, but this quiet, intelligent slave was preparing for a destiny that would shake the world. By the late 1700s, the winds of revolution were spreading. In France, people demanded liberty, equality, and justice. But there was a powerful contradiction. France spoke about freedom while still enslaving hundreds of thousands in Saint-Domingue. In 1791, that contradiction exploded. A massive slave uprising began across the colony. Plantations burned, masters fled. The enslaved people were no longer willing to live in chains. At first, Toussaint did not join the fighting. He helped the wounded and protected families from violence. But soon he realized this revolution needed leadership, and he stepped forward. Once Toussaint joined, everything began to change. His intelligence and strategy quickly made him stand out. He organized armies of former slaves into disciplined fighting forces. Soon, he earned a new name, Toussaint Louverture. Louverture means the opening, because he always found a way to break through enemy lines. And his enemies were powerful. Spain, Britain, and France were all fighting for control of Saint-Domingue. But Toussaint outmaneuvered them all. He defeated invading armies, captured cities, and slowly took control of the entire colony. It was something no one had ever seen before. A former slave commanding an army and defeating European empires. By the late 1790s, Toussaint Louverture was the most powerful leader in Saint-Domingue. But he didn't seek revenge. He sought stability. He rebuilt the economy and restored plantations, but this time with paid labor instead of slavery. In 1801, he introduced a constitution declaring that slavery would never exist again on the island. Toussaint had turned the slave colony into a society moving toward freedom. But far away in France, a new ruler had risen to power, Napoleon Bonaparte. And he had no intention of allowing a slave revolution to succeed. In 1802, Napoleon sent a massive army to Saint-Domingue. Their mission: take back the colony, restore slavery, and remove Toussaint from power. Toussaint fought fiercely, but the French used deception. They promised peace and negotiations, then betrayed him. Toussaint was arrested and secretly sent to a freezing mountain fortress in France. Far from the island he fought to free. Before leaving, he spoke words that would echo through history. In overthrowing me, you have cut down only the trunk of the tree of liberty. It will grow again from the roots. Toussaint Louverture died in prison in 1803, cold, alone, and far from home. But his revolution did not die with him. His generals continued the fight, and in 1804, Saint-Domingue became the independent nation of Haiti. It became the first free black republic in the world and the only nation ever created by a successful slave revolt. The victory shocked the world, terrified slave-owning nations, and inspired freedom movements across the Americas, all because one man dared to believe that slavery could end. Toussaint Louverture began life with nothing. No power, no army, no freedom. Yet through courage, intelligence, and determination, he defeated empires, inspired a revolution, and helped create a nation built on the idea that all people deserve freedom. History often celebrates kings and emperors, but sometimes the people who change the world the most are the ones who begin with nothing and refuse to stay silent. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I did, hit that subscribe button for more incredible histories.